While past me struggles to log into the game on update day, let me catch you up on Toontown real quick. It's April 1st, and the April Toons update has returned once again. There's some glitches going on at the moment, but overall, the game is running and it's going well. The High Roller fight is back for the third time, and with it came some new rewards. So, I loaded up 4 of my accounts to play the boss, and halfway during Phase 3, I might have gotten distracted, and I might have forgotten to heal during my turn, which resulted in 3 of my toons dying. But I was able to finish the fight with just 1 toon, even though the High Roller still had like over 30,000 health left. And this got me wondering if it's possible to defeat the High Roller from start to finish all by yourself. And I looked it up on YouTube, but I didn't really find anything. There were a couple duo runs, there was like one video that did a solo of the first phase, but nothing I found was like a full completed run. And so I decided to try and figure out that question myself. Now, there's been a couple new changes to the High Roller this year, and there's 2 main ones that make me believe a solo run is possible. The first one is, at the beginning of the fight, the golden 6 die that you press to start the battle, it gives you a perfect accuracy buff for the entire fight, which is great because you won't have to worry about lures missing for your stuns, massive drop damage just whenever you want, you don't have to worry about the low accuracy, consistent healing with throw, yeah, that's great. And then there's also the 2 pip dice, which used to give the perfect accuracy. It now gives you a 5 to 25% shield whenever you use it, so that's also good. You can't stack it like between multiple rounds, but you can use multiple in the same turn to like re-roll the shield and try and get a stronger one. And if you pair it with the 3 pip dice, which reduces the pip costs of all items by 2, you can cycle your shields for free until either you run out of the shield dice or you get a shield that you're happy with. So with the combination of perfect accuracy throw, consistent damage reduction with the 2 pip dice, and also the 6 pip dice, which gives you unite whenever you want, I think we'll have enough survivability to outlast the High Roller and his damage output. So now we just have to put it to the test and see if we can actually get it to work. Phase 1, you'll play it about the same as you would in a group, although there are some things to keep in mind when you're going through it. Since there's only one of you, don't expect to kill all the cogs during the commercial breaks, since you won't be able to do that much damage, especially during the later rounds when the cogs get stronger than you can manage. My main strategy going through it was just to sound combo during the early rounds while the cogs are still tiny, and in the later rounds I would do some combination of lure and throw to pick off the strongest cog I could one-shot. All you really want to do is just get damage however you can, make sure you're healthy, whatnot. They'll instantly be defeated after 2 commercial turns, so you can always just like use a lure, like a big magnet in the first round, and then pass to conserve pips, or you can use a small magnet on turn 2 to do the same thing basically. If you can't defeat him yourself, just let the game do it for you. If you need help choosing which cog to kill between multiple, like, potential ones that you can kill, just try and go for the one that's worth more damage. A normal cog deals 5 damage per its level to the High Roller, while an executive cog will deal 9 damage per level to the High Roller. If you want to simplify things for yourself, you can just say it's like 10 damage per level when it's an executive, so about double that of a normal cog. for the mini-games, trivia is basically the same as normal, but if you aren't like actively browsing an answer sheet on another tab, you might have to watch out for some rough questions, but that's to be expected. It's the same. You don't have to worry about that one. Shuffle is also the same, but just the more times that you get shuffle, the harder the cup patterns will be. So hopefully you have good eyes. Just be wary of that, because since you're dealing less damage during the commercial breaks, you will have to potentially get through more cup shuffle rounds. Puzzle is the scariest one to get, because there's just a 3 out of 7 chance you automatically lose. While the puzzle is scaled for one toon, which is usually just like one cog, I don't think it was ever higher than level 6, so it's pretty easy. The gag selections are not scaled for one toon. If you get stuck with a mandatory trap, lure, or zap gag, there's no way for you to kill the cog by yourself in one turn. The penalty for failing minigames increases the more times you fail between all the minigames. And you can find yourself taking some hefty damage for no reason at all, just because of the way the puzzle sets up for you. But with a little bit of luck, and just doing well on the rest of the games that you can beat, you should do fine. One thing I'd make sure of though, is when you're finishing out the round and going on to phase 2, you'll probably want to be at least half health going into it, because you'll probably already be at 150 lap before phase 2 starts, so you won't get any of the free healing when you're transitioning phases. And if you end phase 1 in a bad spot, you might get like stomped immediately, so just watch out for that. But other than that, I think this phase is fine. I didn't die at it, like at any point. I did get close a couple times because of the puzzles, but just play your cards right and you should be able to get through it okay. Moving on to phase 2, this is the shortest of the 3 phases, so I'll try and make this brief. Your only goal is to survive 4 rounds against an onslaught of Mr. Hollywoods. You will be taking hits during this phase, because the Hollywoods can only be lured for 2 turns at a time, and the phase lasts for 4 rounds obviously, so they will unlure. The Hollywoods will have varying health amounts, so what I do is I attack the lowest health Hollywood on turn 1. You can use a throw on it if you're at like half health or so, or a TNT if you think you're relatively healthy. I take all the hits during the first round, since there's only 3 Hollywoods at the moment, so they won't do as much damage to me. You'll probably want to be at like 85 or 90 lap if you want to survive all their attacks though. The next turn, I would go for a lure to both pass a turn and also to activate your trap if you've placed one earlier. While you do get bonus damage in phase 3 for every Hollywood you beat right now, we're only really concerned with killing one of them, and then we can save our pips to focus down just the one Hollywood until they're dead, and then keep the rest of our pips to just stay alive with lures, high throws for self-healing, and also the 6 pip unite dice if you end up pulling that one. I'll bring this part up later in phase 3, but the boost we get from killing our one Hollywood will actually come in handy in a certain scenario later on, as well as just being nice for more damage in general. Anyways, just keep alternating your attacks with lures whenever you can. It doesn't really matter what lap you end up at on the final round, since the boost to 999 lap on phase 3 will be enough when going into phase 3, no matter what you were at before. This part doesn't have much relevance to the video, I just wanted to include it real quick. It took me 3 attempts to beat this fight, and I only lost the first one due to connection issues. Anyways, phase 3 might look overwhelming at first, but it's not too bad once you know what to do. If anything, the biggest obstacle is how time consuming it is. The other 2 phases took me like maybe half an hour to complete, while this phase took almost 2 hours total. So the first part we're going to talk about is the colored clones. Now, as far as their HP goes, the first set will have 12,000, and for every set after that, it'll reduce by 3,000 HP until it reaches its minimum cap of 3,000 total. And they will give you 4 extra pips on top of the 8 pips that you normally get, like per turn. You get 4 more pips for every clone you defeat. And then that increases by 2 for every subsequent set. So like the second set of clones, you'll get plus 6 pips from them, and then the next set you'll get plus 8, and so on. And then as far as taking them down, I have priority tiers for higher, middle, and lesser priority clones. And in the higher tier we have Joker, which is the light blue one, which can randomly promote or demote your gags. Although I honestly didn't find this helpful, just having unreliable damage, just like not knowing whether it'll be lesser or better. And it can potentially just ruin your run, because if it demotes your throw gag to a low level while you're trying to heal off of it, then you might not get like enough laugh to survive the round. So I usually go for Joker first, and then close behind it would be Trap Card, which is the red one. They deal 100 damage per turn, basically, because you aren't going to be luring or placing traps too much. So it's basically going to proc every turn. It can be useful sometimes because the 100 damage also hits the clones and the high roller, so you can get some chip damage with that. But it's kind of situational. I wouldn't rely on it for that. I just get rid of it because the constant damage on you can be a little annoying. And then for the middle priority, we have Singing Blues, which is the dark blue clone. And it's not too important to kill. It only really removes the potential to set up Encore, and also to get some sound kills if you're going for those. Otherwise, I don't use sound too much during my run, so I wouldn't worry about it. And there's a similar case for Splashback, and the only like situation where I'd use Squirt is unless I'm soaking for drop, or I want to get like a kill with splash damage. But other than that, I don't do like Splash and then Zap or anything of that sort. So I don't know, you can just go between the two, Singing Blue, Splashback, same tier. Everything else you really don't have to worry about. Green Lighter, the green one, grants lure immunity to the clones, or like it chooses a random clone and they give them lure immunity. But I never used lure like on the clones. I only used it like sometimes during trap on the high roller. Other than that, it's fine. That's a freebie. Same for face value, which does negate zap jumps, because that does count as combo damage. But again, I hardly used Squirt, and even less I used Zap, so you can just leave that one alive. Same for Fizzle, does the same thing basically. And also Cashback is just a total freebie, because it only affects tune-up, which you can't use since you're solo. And, oh yeah, okay. During Phase 2 I said that there was a benefit to killing one Hollywood, and that benefit is, okay, so the damage like formula for Phase 3 is the gag damage times 15, but it can go up by 0.12% of the HP of the Hollywood that you defeat. So I don't know how to explain it. Let's see. Okay. A wedding cake, assuming that you didn't kill any Hollywoods in Phase 2, in Phase 3, that would be doing 2,550 damage. And if you used a 4-pip dice to boost your damage by 15%, it would only deal 2,932 damage, I think. About there, pretty much. Which cannot one-shot a clone at 3000 HP. And because you're going to be going through a lot of clone rounds, being able to have a reliable, like, one-shot method is really nice to have. And if you did kill the Hollywood during Phase 2, the minimum HP a Hollywood can be in Phase 2 is 300, the maximum is 900, but this calculation is based off of, as long as you kill one, assuming they had the minimum HP of 300, your base wedding cake damage would go to 2,611, and then if you add a 4-pip dice to that, it'll do 3,002 damage, which is just enough to one-shot a clone. So if you do get to kill a Hollywood, that basically can, like, double your time, or not double your time, half your time going through the clones when they're at 3000 HP, because you can just one-shot them all. So that's very nice to have. As far as the dice go, you're mainly gonna be fishing for 3s. Just stack as many 3s as you can. The discounted pips on all of your other dice and your gags just helps you stockpile early on and just throughout the entire fight. Being able to just get a bunch of the 4-pip dice to boost your damage, just keep rolling for those and keep getting your rerolls. You can get your free shields, just keep rerolling those to try and get better ones. The 3 is like the key to everything, basically. The 5-pip one and the 6-pip ones do have cooldowns, so use them, I don't want to say sparingly, but just keep it in mind. The 5-pip one isn't too important. I never found, like, much necessity in having the IOU buffs. I mainly saved the 5-pip dice in order to get rid of pips when I needed to, because one of the new moves that the High Roller got this year is called Bust, and what it does is, if you're over 21 pips before, like, the attacking part of the round starts, like, you have your selection phase and then, like, everyone does their attacks. If at the end of your selection phase you have more than 21 pips, he will reduce your pips down to 21, while also dealing 15 damage per, like, each pip over 21 that you had. So, like, if you had 23 pips, he'd do 30 damage to you, just because, and then you'd also be reduced down to 21 pips. And the thing is, this happens before you attack. So the order of operations would be, like, from one turn, you do your attack, the clones attack, the High Roller attacks, new phase, or new turn, and then before you get to attack again, then he'd use the Bust. And I didn't know this, so I think during my second run, I used Sound to kill 3 clones at the same time, I'm pretty sure. And then I was at, like, maybe 100, 200 HP by the end of the phase, and I thought that was fine because I would just, like, throw and get all my health back, but I forgot about Bust, and that did too much damage. I died. But yeah, you just gotta be careful, because if you play reckless and you get too many pips at once and you can't, like, survive the Bust attack, it's over. You can't do much of anything. The only ways you can really negate it or reduce it is by spamming your dice in the menu. So if you have a Unite, you can usually save yourself, but I didn't. And you can, like, cycle through a 5 and a bunch of 4s to try and get it down a bit. But other than that, you're probably going to take some damage. What I did in my third run, and my successful run, is near the end mostly, because that's when the clones start giving more and more. That's kind of the problem of the ending half of the High Roller. You're going to be rich in pips. you will have to like stall some turns to go down in pips, just so that you aren't taking massive damage all the time. I think the way I did it was I'd kill one clone, and then I'd try to stall it out by either waiting for my 5 and 6 pip dice, or I'd like throw on the high roller. Even when the other clones were up, and even when he had his shield, I'd just throw on the high roller. Mainly so I wouldn't kill another clone, and so I could try and get a little bit of healing to stay alive longer. Or I'd use a throw that like would give me sufficient healing, but also not kill a clone. You're basically just trying to like micromanage everything. Just balance between conserving your health and making sure your pips don't get too high. So you might have to like alternate between killing and trying to keep everyone alive, just so you're not stacking up on extra pips. What else? I think as far as the attacking goes, the variance between them all, rolled, and I think rolled is guaranteed actually. The duck one, conduction, I think, it has a chance to miss, but it's not too bad either. Same for the Toontown. I think it could miss slightly more, but it does slightly more damage. And then the dice roulette, yeah. I don't even know why I'm talking about these attacks. It's fine as long as you have like, with the shields, give or take 450 HP. I think you can survive just about anything, as long as you aren't like getting hit by the extra clone attacks. And when I say that, I don't mean the 50 damage that they do every turn. I more so mean like the trap card or the splashback. If you're like getting hit by those, then maybe you'd be at risk of dying. But other than that, as long as you're at like half health or so, you should be fine to like survive the round. You just have to watch out for bust in the next turn. What else? Honestly, I think that's it. I can't think of much more to say regarding the high roller. Just balance out your pips and watch your health and play it slow, because it's gonna take you a while anyways, and if you rush and die, you're gonna have to do the whole thing again. That's not gonna be nice. But yeah, I think that's it pretty much. It took me like 2.5 hours to get the successful run done. So make sure you have time. And yeah, that's the most important part. Make sure you have time. That is all. I hope you like this style of video. First time using my voice. I think it's made it go easier on me. At least I don't have to like do a bunch of subtitles and such. This should have come out earlier. I got the files like recorded and done on like the 2nd or the 3rd, honestly. It was just editing that took me a while to get the motivation for, more so than anything. Similar case for another Out of Bounds video. I was going to do another, but I just haven't, because I haven't like been motivated to actually get the footage and edit another video for that. But I think it would be easier this time. I don't know, there's a new method of getting out of bounds that I found that works almost universally, like in most spots in the game, and that's been really cool to mess around with. But I gotta record the stuff for it, and then I'll show it off. But yeah, what else? There's something else I was gonna say. Never mind, forgot. Okay, that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Never mind, I remembered. Stay tuned for quadruple solo high roller.